Welcome to What If We Can Change It All, the podcast.
A podcast created by Movement.medicine.
My name is Sherise.
And my name is Janina.
We believe that we have the power and therefore we can change it all.
This podcast is all about reclaiming your power.
Welcome to a new episode. We are back and we are back together. And today we want to talk about fear. And I believe fear is something that has been or that we have been talking about a lot, like in society. It's very much present in society, I would say. And I want to tap into the different layers of fear and also smaller fears and how they can hold us back. Because I think we often forget how those smaller things are actually can like ripple through and like bigger things of holding us back. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. And I think what is so important about this subject is that we all have fear, right, in our day-to-day life, but also how much is actually influencing us in not doing the things that we actually want to do, or like going for the things that we feel like we need to do. And I think that we are all working with that and sometimes against that. And I think it is really important to talk about this because we all have fears, although we don't always talk about those fears.
Yeah, and I think I really want to tap into the multi layers of fear, and
Yeah.
that's not always what it seems to be, if that makes any sense. And that's mostly connected to deeper things, but also that it can have an effect on things you don't expect. Um, yeah. Maybe let's start a bit just about fear and how fear is holding us back as a little starter point. How I would describe it is that I see fear, or I see you can like there's this saying you can like either choose love or fear, which is true, but I think it's a bit more layered than that. But what I want to say about that is that love is mostly giving us the space to choose for that what we desire in all sense. So this can be relationships, right? But this can also be our desires, our longings, the jobs we do, like all aspects. And fear, I would say, is holding us back from reaching that. So it's holding us back from reaching that relationship. It's holding us back from reaching that job, that desire, that dream. And that's how I would define it.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with that. And what also is very interesting about it is that we often forget how our mind plays like a really big role in this all. How it really is keeping us small, right? How it is really influencing the way we actually want to live our lives, influencing the way we are as a person, how authentic we are, right? Just because there's this fear there. And that sounds very, very easy. And I know from personal experience that it is not always that easy. But I think that's why it is so important to really tap into that fear and to really feel, okay, but why is this fear here? And how can I transmute that?
Yeah, what is it telling you, right?
Yeah.
Which message is behind fear? I think that's very important. And that actually helps you to indeed transmute and let go of it and choose the opposite.
Yeah, what also is really interesting is that fear and excitement are like very close, and it is really easy to what's the word, to like
dance between them?
No, to mistaken for one another, right? Is it fear or is it excitement? Because often when we do something new and we feel fear and we feel excitement, which of the two is it actually? And I think those two are like so close to each other, which is also very interesting to have a dance with.
I think for me, it's really about, I forgot what I wanted to say, but I think it's really about, let me find something else. it's really gone.
Sometimes I'm gonna take it over for you. Sometimes for me, it is really about listening to my gut feeling. And I know I actually have a pretty strong sense of my intuition, and like I know what I want for myself, but I also am getting a better understanding like every day how I sometimes don't listen to my gut feeling and let the fears take over, right? So to give you guys an example, I recently did something really weird that I never done before, and it was really fun. My sister actually knows the story. I'm not gonna tell the whole story, but like I kind of felt in my gut feeling that it was safe to do something and that I wanted to do something, right? And then my mom actually said, "Don't you think that was a bit like off or a bit dangerous, or like you not knowing like the whole situation?" I was like, "No, because I could feel in my gut that it was okay. I could feel in my gut that it was safe. And although there was fear and excitement, in the end, I got to see that it wasn't fear, but it was inside excitement, and that I was able to follow that excitement instead of like my head taking over, and just not taking the opportunity as it was." Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Good.
I think what helps me, or what I wanted to say before, is
Yes.
that is that when we have fear and excitement, mostly the excitement, I mean, I think there's like a sense of fear there as well, right? Although it's excitement. And so that excitement, that fear excitement, let's call it like that, you know, when you feel that, you actually always know that it will bring you something closer. And like with the other fear, I would say it's mostly connected to like a trauma or a deeper core belief. So you are afraid that when you go through it, actually you fail or something is not working out. Or so mostly when like the fear is there, it's like a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And mostly with the excitement fear, you know that the other side is brighter, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah. And you fully believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And often in the meantime, you have this whole dialogue with yourself, which of the two it is, and like if it's good or not, and blah, blah, blah. But I think that's also part of being human, and also part of like, we all do that. We all have that. And that is also the beauty in things, because it just is.
So to give a little example, I mean, you can ask questions about it or something. So to give a little example, so one of my, it still kind of is, but like one of my biggest fears was singing. And this sounds maybe very stupid. Sometimes it feels a bit like that. But like I created like this huge fear.
So I'm gonna stop. You need to like explain more about the singing. Like, is it singing on your own, like singing up on a
I wasn't
Oh, okay.
finished.
Oh, sorry. Go on. Because I know the story.
So so I created this huge sphere connected to singing. And like when it started, or when it became clear that there was a fear, it was with everything, right? It was with all the singing noises I needed to make, like in school, and or like I don't know, when I was with people, I didn't dare to sing. And at some point I kind of was okay with humming. I kind of was okay with humming. And now what I realized is that I created mostly the fear now when I have to sing in a microphone. And it doesn't mean that I find it easy to sing out loud without the microphone. Not at all. It's still very hard, and I don't do it often. Not when I'm with people. It's different when I'm alone. But then there's still like a huge judgment, right? And it's the funny part that it's not about judgment of others, which is interesting, but it's really the judgment I have over myself and over my voice. And so this is connected to a deeper wound and a deeper trauma. And this is a very long story, actually.
I think we should make an episode about that though. So
we will do soon. So soon you understand the whole story. But the interesting part is that what I feel now is that me being afraid of singing is actually holding me back in like normal daily life. And so because, and this will be a bit more clear in the other episode or the episodes coming, is that it's connected to like a lot of layers. And like there was this part or this part in my life where like just making sounds and like using my voice, so even talking felt scary, and just expressing myself, right? And so movement and dance became my ultimate way of expressing myself, and also to digest and deal with my emotions. And well, I'm doing this podcast, so I guess we can say that I overcame that fear. And I'm teaching a lot, and so that fear is really gone. Or I feel secure there, let's say, and that feels safe. But like with the singing, there's like still this tremendous fear of and mostly judgment towards myself, of not even of not being good enough. And it's not, I mean, yes, there is a sense of not wanting to sing off pitch, you say, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And that's a part of it, but it's like everything blocks. Like my thoughts are gone. So if I need to free flow, literally, like there are no words in my head, like literally no words, then I can't like pitch my voice at all. It's just one tone. It's true. And when I try to, and it's very soft. It doesn't sound soft when I do it for myself, but other people tell me it's very soft. And then I actually already overwon something, but well, it's not very much hearable that I'm singing, apparently. It doesn't feel like that for me. So there's like this lot of, and then there's like constriction here, right? So there's like a lot going on, trauma-based and mind-based, connecting to singing. And what I truly believe, and this is what I tried to say before with like all the fears are multi-layered and they're telling you something else. For me, it's truly connected to something, to a childhood. It's a childhood trauma, to and not being able to digest that fully, I guess. And so it's very much connected to that, but it makes that my whole body and my whole system reacts in a certain type of way, and makes that it's holding me back, not only with the singing, but actually also with like daily life, right? Because in the end, the singing, I would say, is maybe also, and this is also connected to trauma. We need to do an episode this because now. So soon, stay tuned. But it's also connected to, in some way, it's connected to not wanting to be seen fully, of not all parts of me, because there was like a lot of attention there without me understanding it even, which was interesting because I wasn't aware of it until I needed to go to hospitals. So, and I think that's very interesting about the fear, because it's holding me back in so many layers without me understanding it. Because it's small, right? But it's even when you, I don't know, go outside and feel like singing, you don't do so because there's like all the judgments and fear, and it sounds like something small, but actually you're always telling yourself no on like on a layer or on an aspect of you. Because actually, to be truly honest, I would love to use my voice and to sing, but like the fear is so high that the bridge I need to take or overcome or is bigger than me just thinking, fuck it, I do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really beautiful because, and I think this example says it all, that we actually don't, like all the fears that we have, and it doesn't matter how big or how silly they are, they often come from like big wounds, right? And they're like multi-layered, as Sherise said. And before you get to like the root of the fear, why you have all these sub fears and like subcategories, right? It is just like a deep dive into, okay, but where does this actually come from and to what is it connected to, right? And indeed, like sometimes we don't have to know everything. But if it's something that you truly desire, it's interesting to see, okay, but what else is there? And how can I get into it? And how can I transform it, right? And I think that's truly the beauty, because it makes it really tangible, but it also makes it really powerful, because in the end, although it's a fear and fear is an emotion, you still get to take your power back. You still get to influence that. And therefore you can plan your life out differently and actually do the things that you want to do. Like maybe she's in a year or two, she's like gonna be the next Beyonce. Who knows? Who knows, right? But I think that's interesting. And do you want to tell about what your next step is with that? But I think that's also interesting, how to take action on it and how you decided
Yes.
to take action on it.
I will go there in a moment, so if I forget,
Yeah.
remind me. I also want to say something else because I think I can say that I still have fears, of course, but I think I can say I'm someone that wants to overcome them. And I think I can say that although I of course have fears, I always, I don't want to say fight, but I always go for it. If it's something I truly desire, I go for it.
Yeah, you go through the uncomfortable to get what you want.
Yeah. And the interesting part is with singing, I never truly did. I mean, there were like projects where they asked me to sing. Like the last,
Honestly, I hated that.
yeah, like the last 2 or 3 projects, they asked me to sing. It was very interesting actually, because it's clear that it needed to be something.
It was a little knock on the door. Hello.
Yeah, so clear. So for the first project where I needed to sing, it started with me and another performer needed to sing, and then because I was so soft and very much insecure about it, I was, well, the creator, the choreographer asked us to hum, and then at the end the humming also disappeared. So I'm very good in like making it not work, if that makes sense. So in not going through the fear. And I mean, it was still uncomfortable, so I don't want to say I didn't go to the uncomfortable part, but I didn't overcome it, which is fine, right? Didn't feel, honestly, not really fine, but it's fine.
But I think, sorry, really cute. But I think in a way you also did overcome it, right? Because sometimes it's not just about like making the big leap. Sometimes it is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
making a little jump
Yeah,
in
definitely.
between.
But I didn't took any more actions than
Yeah.
just that project. That's what I tried to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely it's also about the small steps.
Yeah.
And then I had another project, can't remember. I also need to sing there. And then in another project, I also need to sing with the microphone, which was
I remember.
my biggest fear, like truly. So when the choreographer asked me to do that, I already freaked out, honestly. I was even like, they didn't ask me to sing Mariah Carey. They asked me to sing a children's song, right? So it's also not that they asked me like super difficult, intense things. But it felt quite intense. So the moment I needed to make sound, I started to cry because, and the funny part is, actually, I think I didn't think anything, not consciously. Like, I think there were no thoughts and no thoughts about you cannot do it, it's not working, la 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 la. It was just like everything blocking and me just zoning out. And then everything was so big, or it felt so big that the only thing I could do was trying to make sound. And then my voice went all over because I couldn't. And then so I started crying. And I think it's important to tell this because I think it sounds like a small fear, but for me it's not. But I think we all have those fears, and even with the maybe bigger fears or things we see as bigger fears, it can like truly block your system. And so it's interesting to work through it. And I also strongly believe that it will come back when you're ready. And sometimes you will get the same lesson until you learn it, right? This is what we both believe. And so I got this lesson quite a few times. Until I was ready, like my human part was ready for it. So that was interesting. And now I have been in some situations where people ask me to sing as well, even like a 4-year-old. And it was interesting because honestly, I'm not afraid of the 4-year-old judging me of anyone else, but it's just like there are literally no thoughts, and there's literally like not even one word coming up, like even the word D is not in my head. And so it's like such a trauma response actually.
Yeah.
And so after being in that situation, because it's my living situation, after being in that situation for some weeks, and actually already wanting to like do something with it for I think 2 years, I decided that it was time. So I had actually an intake call yesterday for someone, with someone that gives singing slash vocal classes, but also really goes deeper than that. So it's more, I did not experience it yet, right? But it's more also coaching and also like the voice liberation and where things coming from, because and it was interesting because you said like if you're just searching for like the typical vocal coach or the typical vocal class, then this is not, I'm not sure, I'm not the one. I was like, well, this is exactly what I need, like the not typical way, right?
Yeah.
Not just having someone giving me like the vocal and singing exercises and then having me sing a song, because at some point I will be comfortable with that person, but it didn't help with the real deal.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited and scared, I have to say. But my first time will be next Wednesday, so in a week.
Woo!
And yeah, it's interesting because it really feels like it's time. And she also said like, I really feel your yes. So that was interesting. So yeah, this is my fear.
I think what's really interesting, and you also briefly tapped into that, is just how the body responded every time that you needed to sing, right? Like you just frozen, you just like going blank, like you said, that's gewoon, I'm just I'm talking Dutch now, but that's like exactly what a trauma response is like, and your body like reacting so heavily, but also keep on giving the opportunities to actually see, okay, maybe Sherise, it's time to look at this or this. And I think it's beautiful that you and your body and whoever, whatever is there is showing you, okay, you're ready now. It's time to like do this. And like
Yeah.
you feeling that yes in your body as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing, because it's never too late to like work with your fears, because I would say not working against them, but you have to work with them. And I think that's the beauty in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a journey and it still will be a journey. But I also wanted to share this, and also maybe I also want to share this still, although I'm still in it and I'm still working through it. Because I find it important that we also show our humanness and
Yeah.
ourselves fully, and not just the parts that we already healed.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Although I think healing is also an interesting word. I've been thinking about that as well, but that's a different subject. Um, yeah, but I thought it would be nice to share it and to I guess take you on this journey with me a bit or in some way, and also share that fears are everywhere, and it doesn't always have to be like in that sense connected to your dream, right? I mean, it is somehow connected, but not really. I mean, I'm a dancer, and yes, singing could have been a part of it, but somehow I made it not. And I even did go to a jazz musical education. Um, and then also in the work I'm doing now, like voice and voice liberation. And well, this is what I still do and I can do like without being afraid. But it's like it can be a part of my work, but at this point it isn't. But there is a longing that it will be. But what I'm trying to say is that your fears are not always connected or not logically to what you want to do, right? And
Yeah.
they can be anywhere and everywhere. And I think it's interesting because I know for sure for 100,000 whatever percent that this will unlock a lot in my normal life. I mean, singing is also normal life, but I know this will unlock a lot because it's so deep
Yeah.
and it has such a intense place in my body.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something important that you sorry, that you tapped into, right? And I think you can see like all the layers that you had to go through over the years, right? And like sometimes our fears are really big, but sometimes it is just a sub fear that is there, right? But it doesn't mean that the sub fear isn't as important as the big fear that's underneath it. And I think for Cherise, the sub fear was not even singing in a microphone, was not even like doing audition and having to sing. Like I think it already started like in school, right? Like
Even before.
even no, but like primary school
Oh.
and stuff. Like it's like every time that I'm gonna make a story now, so I'm not sure it's true, but like every time that you have to do something with your voice or like have to sing, like it's a little fear that's there without knowing the root cause. And I think that's okay too, because with working in the sub fears, I love that we created like a whole word of it. But with working with the sub fears, you in the end come with the bigger fear, and in her case, something that she truly is desiring.
And I think the interesting part is that the story Janine just made up isn't true at all.
Good.
I think the interesting part is that how I remember it, at least, right, is that when I was a child, there was not really a fear about making noise and singing and and all of that. And even when I was in my first year of high school, I did go to art education, or I did go to an art department there, and I created a song with a friend. We had to record it in a studio, actually.
Love that.
I mean, I was very afraid of that. There was already some fear there, definitely, because I found it very hard and scary, but it wasn't as big as it is now. And so I think it also shows how much when you don't deal with something, um, because I don't want to say it started in my childhood. I mean, it's connected to something else in my childhood, but the fear of singing didn't start in my childhood. But when you don't work with the root cause, then at some point it has to become bigger, so you have to deal with it. And this is something we see a lot also with clients, but it's really true, because if for me everything, I believe that if for me everything was clear during my childhood and I understood everything, and um, it would have gotten a bit more attention, and this is not a blame at all, but I think it would have had a different ripple in like my teenage life and even now, right? So because I didn't dealt with it, or no one helped me deal with it when I was younger, it became bigger during high school, and it became even worse during my bachelor, right? And so now after, it's like on its worst. I know this is not a word. But it's interesting to see how it grows and became more, how it impacted me more. And I think it also, or I don't think it also impacted me in my dance life and in my dance career, especially in the more early years, so during school and pre-education and the first years of my career. And I think that's interesting.
Yeah, it's what suppressing something, it's the result of suppressing, and I think that's also okay in a way, because now you get to get new lessons and bigger lessons, and maybe lessons that are like perfect for you.
Definitely, I also believe that it had to go like this. So it's
Yeah.
not that I'm blaming anyone or my parents or whatever, right? But I think it's interesting, and I think it's interesting also with that how the brain works and how
Yeah.
it was never really truly in my conscious mind. And even when it's happening, or when I feel that trauma or that fear rising, it's still not in my conscious mind at all, because I can't grasp my thoughts. So it's really all happening subconsciously. So it also shows how much that, without my parents being aware of it, how much it is programmed in my subconscious mind and how much it's playing out now.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. And I think that also shows how powerful, because maybe this is maybe a new or different way to go into the subconscious mind or to understand it. It shows how powerful it is and how much it can influence us, also with relationships, right? Or the relationship we attract, if they don't feel aligned, or not being in a relationship, or the money we earn or the money we don't earn, or the jobs we have or the job we don't have. It's so interesting how strong the subconscious mind is. And I think when we start analyzing ourselves with something that we are going through, or we're further in the process, then we see the power of it. And then I hope, or at least it made me realize how important it is for me to work there as well. I mean, I already did, but it shows how important it is and how powerful it can be.
Yeah, I agree. So we promise that we will soon record Sherise's story, so you get an even better understanding about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I will make sure that she keeps you all updated about her singing and vocalization process. We will just scoop it in so you're also a part of the journey. She's not going to sing on a podcast. Not now, I mean. But maybe just a snippet, because I think it's also interesting for them. No, not singing, but a snippet about like how it is going.
Yeah, and I might also just share on it on my Instagram
Yeah,
stories
exactly.
or something like that. But yeah, I will keep you
I think
updated.
that's good to keep them involved. So if you have any thoughts about this, or like any fears, or like whatever you want to share with us, feel free to always do so. Like you can do it like in the comment section or in the Q&A section, but also you can always reach out to us privately.
Yeah, I would really love for you to reach out and to talk about this as well, actually.
Especially because it is such a big subject and we all deal with it, right? So we would actually love that. So we can't wait to hear from you. And I think that's it for now.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you all for this episode and being here with us and listening to our voices. And we will see each other. No, you will hear us in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Ciao.